Now, we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Under Texas pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. Well, I have to say, we have been reading elementary school to go do some reading for the weekly reading thing at school, and they did the Texas flag, and most of those kids have it memorized. It made me feel bad because I was like going hum 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 hum, just kind of humming it.
Invisible, amen. And then you set across.
Yeah, exactly. Any public comments? Sal, anybody sign up for public comments?
There's a list here, but I'm not sure who just signed as guest. Commissioner Wilkinson, did you want to speak?
Commissioner?
I'll wait.
Okay.
Okay. Make sure that your microphone is off when.
Mine is. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to go ahead and move on to section 2, monthly reports or quarterly reports from the municipal court judge. He just came in just on time. Just in time.
On cue.
Yes, ma'am.
Just one click.
A report on the municipal court. You may be so kind to do the paper clip and separate them so that you can see the revenue that has come in. And now here we are in 24. And you can compare the months that are being collected. If you will look at October, November, and December of 24, and look to your full page on the left side, where you can see that it's almost about the same amount as being collected. And then you go down to January, February, and March of this year, and you look over to your report from last year, and you can see the revenue it was $80,000 collected, and now we are at collecting $23,000 per quarter. And so you can see down below where it says citations issued that we had the last time that we had citations issued was in January. September was where the opposite of that. October we received 5 citations, and then November we received 0, January we received 11, and then in February now we're receiving 0 citations because there's nobody there to issue them. And if you will look over on the 24 report, the quarter, you can see how much money was collected by the court. $43,391.92 and $31,891 was kept by the state, and $11,578 was paid to the state. The second term, $43,698.60 was the total, and the city kept $34,376.39, and then $9,313.21 was paid to the state. So that goes to tell you that our
Okay.
our revenue dropped because we didn't have tickets. The only thing we have is a lot of money that's owed to the city of Odem. You will see your second report. You've never seen a report like this before. And this is all the show causes that were set for the month of March in court. Show causes means people who have been tried and have not paid. So we have more and more started bringing them in and sending them notices. You can see all the notices, all those notices, a page and then a quarter of the other one that were sent for them to appear for the month of March. We do at least 1 or 2 days a week. So this is where they come in, and I'm by myself. The prosecutor's not there, and we summons these people in to ask them why haven't they done what they're supposed to? Some of them will call us, some others will not. But you can see that have paid before the date, and we collected $3,873. That is not very much. The unpaid balance is $47,000 that these people paid. And these are people who have been trying and are refusing to pay, refusing to send in payments, refusing to pay what they're and so very, very interesting. I didn't do a report in paper, but we do have like 4,371 cases that are pending. These are people who have never come in.
How many?
4,371. And this is from 2016 to present.
2016.
Yes, sir. 4371. And it's from 2016. That's when the court was open. And I was the one that was hired by the mayor that was here and somebody else. And then we hired a clerk. And so I have been here since 2016, implemented the, go ahead and come on in. I implemented rules and regulations for the court, and we operated out of the city hall for about 3 years, I believe. And then from there, they moved us over to their location where we're at. And so, does she have a report? Thank you, sir. Okay. So you can see how much is owed for 1 month that we brought them in to make a payment plan, or to see why they're not paying. Those that are willing to pay but don't have the money, I give them the option to do community service. And community service can be done anywhere. It can be done in churches, it can be done in corporates, it can be, as long as it's a non-profitable organization, I accept the community service. It can't be like working for their mother or, something like this, but it can be at different places where it's a non-profitable organization. I do accept community service, and people who don't have money to pay, that are willing to pay, a lot of them do community service. And so another thing I was going to tell you, in 2016 to present, I believe the mayor was the one that wanted to know this information, 3,540 cases have been dismissed. From 2016 to present, 3,540. Dismissed, not because the judge wants to dismiss them, because people don't like to dismiss cases, have been dismissed because of death, or they have serious issues why they can't pay, and I take everything into consideration. And if I feel that they're being honest, they don't have a job, they haven't had a job for 6 months. Some of them even bring me a copy of their bank account, their deposits from their checks, to show that they do not have any money because they don't have work. It's stopped a little bit now. I think a lot of people have jobs now. Men and women have jobs, but it was real bad. And if I feel that they're telling me the truth, they don't have the money, I will sometimes give them consideration, and I'll maybe reduce half of their fine and court cost. And so this, from May till now, 367 cases have been dismissed.
From May?
From May this year, sir, to now.
I'm sorry, May.
From May till, excuse me, I'm sorry. May the 6th, 23 to present, 367 have been dismissed.
367?
Yes, ma'am. And
The cases that are dismissed, we can't do anything about them usually. They're dismissed, right?
they're dismissed
They're
because
okay.
they had insurance and
Right.
the officer gave them a
Right.
wrong. It has to be a legal
Okay.
dismissal, sir. It has to be a legal
So
dismissal.
there's nothing we can do
About
those.
that, no. Mr. Sassi is very careful of what he does because he knows how I like to operate. And he will sometimes dismiss cases of people who are coming before him that need to be tried, and he'll look at everything and he'll dismiss some of the cases. I do not dismiss cases, sir. I do not dismiss cases unless, I will do a form and sign it, but it requires the two of us to sign it. I did not dismiss the case unless he has signed it and I have signed it. 2 signatures required on every dismissal out of the court here. No.
Okay, on the report that you're showing us that show cause, where it says pay, those people that paid.
Yes, sir. The ones in red.
Right, and the other ones you said have refused to pay.
Well, they just being stubborn, and some of them have called. We've called some of them. They've moved. About half of them are refusing to pay.
But if you come over here to the border, it says payment plan on all of them.
Well, we're trying to put them on a payment plan. We put them in a payment. We put them in a payment plan, and they're refusing to pay.
Okay, so they're on a payment plan
Yes,
now.
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
And some of them, you see that it's got deferred. Some have gone on deferred disposition, and that is a program that I have that after 3 months, the case will be dismissed if they've complied with everything. If they've done community service, if they have done worked hours and do everything that they're supposed to on the deferred, I do accept their community service. But I'm the one that sets it, and I'm the one that follows it to make sure that they bring me information where they did their community service. Some of them even do it in Houston. Some do in Corpus, and very few here in Odem that go to the churches and ask to do community service, and they will do community service instead of paying, and that's because they don't have the resources to pay. Yes, sir.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
This is probably a legal question for the attorney. Is it legal for us to get this?
Yes, I checked on that, sir. I did.
As far as
The name?
names and.
Yes, sir. I called our attorneys before I put it out.
I'm asking.
Yes,
so I
sir.
just-
And they said it would, as long as I didn't have a date of birth, as long as I didn't have a driver's license. Y'all don't know who they are.
Okay, just basic. Okay.
Yes, but I was concerned about that too.
Yeah, I was going
So
okay,
I
all right.
called, and y'all don't know who these
This is just
people
comes to us only, right?
are. Only
It-
y'all are to keep it
Okay.
only, but it always has his first name, last name, but it doesn't have date of birth. It doesn't have driver's license or anything like that of the confidential information that I.
Because this could be damaging in a small town.
So let
Information
me
like
ask
this.
you,
Yes, sir.
you have 4,371 cases still pending from 2016 to the
To
present.
Yes, sir, to present.
I mean, that's a lot of cases.
Yes, sir. It is.
And what are we doing to try to catch up with those cases? I mean,
Trying to get the oldest ones to see if they will come in, to see if we get new addresses on them and so forth. Now, Linebarger, sir, is doing a fantastic job. They'll let us know like every 3 months that they're going to send out so many letters. And as soon as they send them out within a week, our phone is ringing and ringing and ringing, people calling in. I just got a letter from Linebarger. And I just got a letter from Linebarger. I know it says you're going to issue a warrant for my arrest. You're going to hold our driver's license, which I do to everyone that hasn't paid. I do that. I do.
so I had a meeting with Lineberger a few weeks ago,
Yes, sir.
and they said that they've reached out to the
Yes.
municipal court on a weekly basis, and that you haven't needed them to come in to assist. I mean,
Into the office.
Yes,
They've
into the
never
office.
come, sir. As long as I've been here, I didn't know they came.
Weren't they sending a lady to come and help at the
Oh, yes.
office?
Yes, yes. We're
Okay,
sending a
so-
lady. She wants to come and like put things in number order. She wants to see what she can help us to send letters out and all that. And I did ask the court when it first happened that I needed somebody to come in to help us because not enough information had been sent to Linebarger. And I believe it was you told me yes, but I never brought it back to the court to get permission if I could do it. I didn't want to be bringing somebody in that you have no knowledge and y'all go in there and, well, who is this lady? And I
Well,
was-
Lineberger's already working with the city, so
With us?
yes.
Okay.
So I need you to use
Absolutely.
their resources.
Absolutely. If you tell me
Um,
judge, user, fine, but I just didn't want to do it without anybody's permission.
Well, they were coming in before. I know that when we were backlogged a little bit, they
Yes,
were
sir.
coming in and helping out. So I would
She
like
calls
you to
every
take
3
that.
weeks. She calls and says, can I go in? They'll help do something. Can I go in? We're caught up as far as the revenue is concerned, but she is more than welcome to come in at least 2 or 3. She wants to come in 2 or 3 days a week, sir.
Well, that's what it takes to
Yes,
try
sir.
to get these
More revenue
cases.
collected, absolutely.
Well, this is 4,000 cases from 2016 to the present. That's a lot of cases.
sir.
And if we don't have the resources here in the office to address them, then we need to get Lineberger in here if they're willing to do that for us, to send somebody. I mean, they can just work on these pending cases, get
Yes.
names, get,
Yes, but please
they're very
understand.
good. I know Lineberger's very good
Yes.
at researching and getting addresses.
Oh, they are.
So we
Where
need to
they
get
work
on
out
them.
of, sir, they are absolutely wonderful. They're absolutely wonderful because they can reach people that I can't reach or they have forgotten or something. And the ones that are honest will be calling the office. Linebarger has called me. But no, this lady, I do want her to come, but I didn't want to do it without y'all's
Well,
permission.
she
You
needs
tell
to
me
start.
yes, I will.
She
I
needs to
will
start
bring her
coming in, maybe even looking at some of these that are on payment plans that haven't paid in a while, and maybe send them another letter. Because I think we've spoke at the last couple of meetings. At this time is a good time to try to catch up,
Yes, sir.
since we don't have, citations being issued.
That's all we're doing,
So-
sir. That's all we're doing. Other than the 6 reports that go out at the first of the month, other than that, that's all we are doing is sending out letters on the phone, calling people, and it's working. It is working, sir. But that's all we're doing. But she could come in and help. I would do not mind.
Okay, so we'll reach out. I'd like you to reach out to Lineberger
Absolutely.
tomorrow and see when they're available, and maybe they can come once or twice a week to
Yes,
help
sir.
with this backlog so we can
Okay.
get them off the books.
Maybe she knows something that I don't know or the clerk doesn't know, but we can work together. Absolutely.
Well,
I
they have a
no-
lot more resources than we do.
Yes, sir. I have no problem with that. Any questions?
Any more questions?
So that money's already been collected and
Yes, sir. Deposited
deposited?
Yes, sir.
To the account?
to the,
3,000.
the what?
For 1 month.
Oh, no.
In
Oh.
March, is that what you collected in March?
In March, collected $44,552. Okay, yes, no, ma'am, that's money that was paid on show causes. But that money is included with the one that's in the front page. So it was 44,552 cases in 3 months. I think the way you look at it, money revenue is coming in, sir. Revenue is coming in, you can see the totals there. We work very hard, we have court once a week, and so that is like really helping out a lot because we were disposing him, and he's, can't put it on they're not guilty, or you put it on the docket to strike.
Okay. Any more questions? Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it. Just get with Lineberger tomorrow so we can get those resources. We're gonna move on to, EMS, Ms. Stephanie. Thank you.
Good evening. Report for March 27th, or sorry, February 27th to March 24th. We had a total of 32 calls and 5
Days where Sinton units had come in to assist. We had a total call for city and county of 56. And we had 2 of those. If you notice the bottom of the city page, I put a new block in for the Mathis Mutual Aid calls. We had 2 of those that were out in the county. I'm starting to keep track of those because I've noticed an increase in some between here and Sinton. So I want to start keeping track of those. 28 calls that were Odem's unit specifically, 100% compliance. Average response time of 5 minutes, 0 seconds. Your secondary response unit coming in from Sinton was 15 minutes, 25 seconds. And have questions for anybody?
Is she still at that skill count out there?
Yes.
Yes.
Y'all do?
Yes, so we've got, we were trying to get people to come out to give us bids because our guys don't have the tools to break through the concrete. I did get a hold of someone, so I should be getting a quote for that very soon. We just got to move on it because I know they've been waiting a month for that. But one thing we're trying to explore is because that sewer line, it was paved over with the parking lot, that in the future, maybe when we rebuild the area, that we do a metal grate situation. So in case something were to happen to that line again, we can access a lot easier with having to cut through concrete again, so.
Can you reroute it now or no?
I was told that it's not possible just the way, because right now it's already kind of at a weird angle. It almost like does like a 45 into the main line. It's basically just detached from the main line. It's just a matter of breaking through the concrete properly without destroying the parking lot. But like I said, we just don't have the tools to do that. So
Miss Stephanie, when you guys are on calls outside of the city limits, I mean, I think you've probably answered this before. Who kind of takes care of the city when you guys are?
We try to shift a unit closer that we have available. If we don't have any units available, then we kind of have sent and shift a little bit closer, and then they try to respond to those calls.
So response time would be a little bit off in
Yes.
cases like that, right?
Yes.
Okay. And now when the units have to transport to the hospital, it's kind of the same thing.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I know that you've probably answered that before, but it's been a while.
It's okay.
Any other questions? No. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. We're gonna skip item C right now. We're gonna let Chief Beltran go ahead and come on up and give your report, and then we'll do the maintenance report.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay, for the report for January, February, March, the number of calls for January, we had a total of 9. 8 were outside the city and 1 inside the city. For February, we had a total of 6. 5 were outside the city and 1 inside the city. And then for March, we had a total of 10, and all 10 were outside in the city limits. The 2 that were in the city limits, they were both EMS assist in town. Right now, we're sitting at 16 total members. So we ended up losing 3 members, and then we gained 3 members as well. Our expenses for fuel for January was $258.01. For February, we had $322.07. And for March, we had $367.67. Also, we did the repacking on engine 7, which was the water leak that we had. We got that repaired. That was $4,609.93. And then as well, we did a service for SCBAs in our fuel station, which came out to $1,559.89. That was done in February, I believe. Upcoming, we're looking into getting some new tires for engine 7. The 2 steer tires, they're worn out. They still have a little bit of life in them, but they're getting to that point. We don't want to have a situation where one of them blows out, just like the one on 77 there. Also, we have the services due for the Hearst tools, which is the Jaws of Life, all of our tools, the hydraulic tools, our electric tools. Also, we just completed the transmission repair for brush 2. Also for brush 2, we had a throttle repair. The transmission was $3,224.83, and then throttle repair was $2,254.53.
What unit was that?
What was that?
What unit was that?
Brush 2. They were both brush 2.
So all the equipment's up and running now, right? All of them.
All of our fleet, we got a full fleet. Yes.
So yeah, knock on wood. And have you gotten a price on the tires for the?
We got a price. It was a couple months ago that we were looking into it. From I think it was the one here at the co-op, and I think it was $930 for each tire.
Okay.
So, kind of look around to see where we can get a better deal. But we went there first just because they were local. So
yeah, reach out to Tire Mart and some of the others and see if we can get a price. Because I'd rather, look at replacing them sooner than later.
Yeah.
Because I don't want. I mean, we saw what happened over there in Angelita Ranch with a truck blowing out and ended up going through somebody's storage.
Yeah.
We don't want our fire truck to blow out a tire and they're doing 60 on the highway and end up rolling it, or, end up in somebody's house or something. So get a few quotes on those, and let's see about getting those tires replaced on it. Anything else?
Sal, do you know where they are at on comparative budget?
That's what I was thinking about.
That's one of those kind of misnomers that
Okay.
isn't clear here, so.
Do you have an idea?
We hadn't looked at it in a while, so.
Yeah, it boils down to coding and being clear in the budget, so, but, I mean,
Okay.
I think you guys are still good. I think the last time that I looked, I think they're still good. I think that getting the two new tires. I know that you guys have paid for some of the work on some of these from their account. It didn't come out of the city's account. And obviously you guys have two accounts, one for like vehicle maintenance and then one for equipment repair. So I think right now I don't exactly know the numbers, but the last time I checked, they were still doing pretty good. So they're still good, and we can probably get those tires.
now I can continue to work up, sorry, to get y'all that individually and send that out too.
And maybe, I think most importantly, let them share it with them. So
Of course.
that they're aware
Yeah,
what
of course.
their budget looks like.
Yeah.
Correct, yeah,
Most importantly, I think.
definitely.
Anything else? Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Jerry from maintenance wasn't feeling real well today, so I think Sal's kind of been riding along with them.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time
So I
with
think
maintenance.
he's been in the mud himself, so I think he could probably give us a little report.
So, the maintenance crew has about 4 work orders for water. These are all just what they're behind as far as work orders go, and one for sewer. And that one for the sewer is probably over a year old. And a lot of these issues that we run into is just lack of tools, lack of manpower, lack of licensing. Of course, this doesn't include the various leaks that have been long-term leaking around town. We've got a sewer jetter out of commission. We're lacking a sewer camera and locator and a concrete saw. The skid steer isn't working. It's not going into gear. The T-Rex backhoe is leaking out hydraulic fluid. Other backhoe is not going into gear, and we have 4 trucks out of commission. So what that all leads to basically is we're spending too much money contracting out work because of lack of equipment and tools, as well as at that time manpower. We have hired since I got here 3 additional crew, and they're kind of being spread between water and maintenance. That should alleviate some of the backlog for work. However, so of the 3 people, 2 of them one of them has extensive experience in the field of municipal water and sewer. Another new hire, which just started Monday, actually has a D license in water and has almost got his D in wastewater. So that's going to help us move forward in reducing our amount in the contracting that we're doing. And that's also going to free up some of our crew on the maintenance side to help speed up with upkeep for like easements and parks, alleyways, etc. All the overgrowth we see over town. With this additional crew, we'll be able to, get something together as far as a plan. In fact, in the next week, I'll be working with the maintenance crew and our contractor for the sewer plant to develop a plan of action to tackle long-lingering issues that affect the facilities and the services for the city. So my general assessment is, again, it was manpower. I think, I believe I was told at one point there was 8 positions in this department. We have 7 now. Like I said, we have one gentleman who's licensed. He's going to be licensed in both. He's very eager to get his C licenses in both. So that'll definitely, again, move us towards the direction of not contracting out some of this work, but we still have the issue of equipment. So I am gathering quotes and other costs that we may need to just bite the bullet and get that stuff repaired. Some things are repairable to some degree, but to some degree you can repair about halfway, but then halfway through you figure out something else, and they don't make that part anymore. And that might be the instance with our jetter, which is probably one of the most expensive piece of equipment that we have. But for anyone who doesn't know what a sewer jetter is, when our sewer lines are clogged up, the main lines, well, it's basically a very powerful a power washer, like a fire hose, and it clears out the line right away. Right now, we're having to contract that out, and it'll cost us almost $1,000 every time we do it. And since I've been here, I think we've had at least 2 to 3 clogs, and that's also having to do with just getting a sewer camera to find those clogs. Otherwise, our guys are digging for leaks or whatnot. So, again, I'll be bringing that back later for council to review.
So I think that some of those clogs, some of those, and I think they probably go back to when your time. I mean, it's the kind of the same areas out
Mhm.
there, behind the Baptist church, over there towards where the hotels at, and so it's coming the same areas. So I don't know if it's just old pipes that we may need to look at replacing later on, because I mean it just keeps, and then what ends up happening is the residents will uncap their sewers. Well, then everything just comes gushing out. So they can flush their toilets. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I want to be able to flush my toilet, but it runs out into the alleyways. So then we're out there having to clean the mess up and vacuum it and throw stuff out down and scoop up dirt and all this kind of stuff. So, we may have to get to a point where we have to look at these lines and see if it's just old lines that we may need to. I mean, obviously, we're not in a position to do that now, but hopefully, we get caught up with those audits and stuff. We can start looking at grants, and maybe there's something out there that can help us, even if we need to go through the county, like the COG and stuff like that. So,
Right. And I know in the same area, we're exploring some street repairs, and we've got something in line. But I know the question was brought up, why don't we just repair the streets? Well, ideally, the dream would be to rip up the streets, replace or upgrade all our sewer lines and water lines, and then, put brand new streets down. They're going to last a long time. That's the most efficient way to approach it, really. Um,
I mean, the older ones are probably over here, but the Odem South, those aren't too old, should they?
18 years.
You can start
About
repairing
18
those
years.
streets, because you're probably not gonna repair those lines.
Yeah.
They're not that old. Over here, I could understand that situation.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I think we're looking at, there's a company that can do some hot mix work for us,
Mhm.
which is probably best in coal. But one of the things that they came out and kind of looked, and they said, well, the best thing would be to address the pothole issue first. And once your potholes are kind of addressed, then we can come through and maybe lay out some hot mix or whatever. I don't know all the details and stuff of what the difference is, but I think that, I mean, I think that we kind of did it out there by the Family Dollar and the Dollar Tree, because that's where those semis come in constantly. And it seems to be holding up pretty good out there. So I think that, once we start focusing and getting those potholes fixed, and then maybe we can start looking at some of our immediate behalf for street maintenance to start choosing, okay, we're going to do this street first, and then, kind of have a plan in place on how we're going to address the individual streets. So,
Yeah, and there's another thing about timing, so, if we do it ourselves, it's gonna take a lot longer, so by the time we get to this side, it's just gonna get worse, so, so again, it's that, they use that term bite the bullet to some degree, but, we can tackle the potholes. I think that'll satisfy a lot of people with having to, maybe, get that jarring when they drive down the road. But that'll allow everything else to be caught up with our crew, so.
any other questions on the
Just-
maintenance?
Just one concern now. Some residents are complaining that the guys are speeding down some of these roads, going down to,
I addressed that.
okay.
It's a matter of, no, I wasn't, or I don't think I was, but I know that we have some, well, it's just a thought. So we have some trackers that are in our PD units. If we ever get to the point, I'd like to maybe explore pulling those out and put them in these trucks so that we can actually see where they're at and track their time and stuff like that. It'll actually help us with efficiency also down the line.
Well, each one of the staff, each one of the maintenance guys have phones, right?
Correct.
City phones.
Hmm.
So there might be an app that we can put that's less expensive on their phones, and we can just track their phones and how fast, they may be
No,
just
that's true.
to address those
Yeah.
concerns, so.
The other vehicles should already have GPS tracking systems.
The,
So the
the
GPS,
the trucks.
yeah, you
Oh.
might want to ask Hilda.
Okay. I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah. With that GPS, it also tracks
Speed.
the speed.
The speed. Anything else out there, guys? I do want to just kind of, I want the maintenance guys to start addressing the limb issue. Maybe look at, maybe Republic can bring their truck, see what it would cost to them for them to come and pick up all the limbs that we have in the maintenance shop. Because they're starting to get, I mean, they don't have a place to park those vehicles anymore because there's so many limbs. Maybe moving the collection site out to the wastewater treatment plant at some point, so we can store our own gravel, our own reclaim, and maybe our own caliche and sand and stuff. So we're not having to kind of look around when we need it. We can have it there in the maintenance shop. But if you can get with Republic and see, you know, I know they have their truck that should be coming here this month to pick up limbs and stuff, see what they would cost for them to come and just clear out our maintenance area there so we can start looking at getting our own supply of street materials.
Okay.
All right, nothing else? Okay, thank you, sir, appreciate it. We're going to move on to number 3, discuss and action items to be considered. A, discuss, consider, and take action to approve the minutes of the special call meeting held on March 26, 2024. Do I have a motion?
I'll move that we approve the minutes of March 26, 2024, with a couple exceptions.
I second.
You ready, Bill?
I have a motion by Councilman Falcon to approve the minutes with some minor changes.
Yeah, just,
And second by Councilman Alvaro. Now the discussion.
yeah, just,
Go ahead, sir.
so I'll just kind of put, since the mayor was not present, it just says mayor with, you know, kind of put a name to all this. It says all members are except the mayor. If somebody picks this up in a couple of years, and who was the mayor that day? So, and basically do it like this, so. Make this right here.
Yeah.
Let's go. So
We
that's it.
just kind of follow the same.
Yeah, yeah,
Who was the second on that? Sorry. Who was the second?
yeah, okay.
Sorry. Thanks.
That's all I have.
Any other discussion? Any questions on those minutes? All right, we're going to move on and vote. Place 1,
Yes.
place 2, place 3,
Yes.
place 4,
Yes.
place 5. The motion carried unanimously. Item B,
Mayor, I'm sorry to interrupt. Could we possibly move C1 up?
C1.
Just the financial report,
See
the under administrator, city administrator reporting. Should be just the financial part of that.
Bottom,
uh,
at the very bottom.
Oh, C1, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, it's for C1, I'm sorry.
As part of your, you want to go ahead and do your financial report next?
Yes, if you don't mind, Mr. Baines here, and if he has any kind of feedback, because he did a lot of this initial work that I'm discussing still.
Okay, so it's, I don't have a problem with moving. We're going to go ahead and move with item C1, the city administrator's financial report. Go ahead, sir.
So gave y'all some handouts, and you'll see the what's labeled history check report. That is all the checks over $5,000 that have been issued since October. And
Keep on digging them up.
this was basically the sort of first eye opener. I mean, I kind of knew about this one particular issue with Allegiance. There hadn't been a payment made since November. So
She didn't say nothing? And they just didn't say nothing?
No, that's I forgot the gentleman, the president, the representative, he had brought it up.
Oh, okay.
So I was investigating that, and of course, this kind of coincided with running this report, and it shows that they're missing multiple payments. So we are working on that to get that resolved. I'm also investigating why that was not caught. Um, um,
So their last payment was back in October.
Yes. And we just got a new bill from them. Constellation New Energy, looks like there's some entries missing there, so there should be an entry basically every month since October. It looks like November's missing off of that. And what I mean by missing, it doesn't mean that funds are misappropriated necessarily. It means that entry wasn't made properly.
Or it could be that October is missing and that October date is November's.
It's possible, but what I've seen what's consistent here is it's the latter part of the month is when the check is issued.
Okay.
So that 12/7 could possibly be in November. It's closer to the end of the month. Again, I'm reaching here, but that's the best I can do with what I got.
Yeah, well, what it might have been is because of the way that we were doing the billing back then to try to keep us from overdrafting, that invoice may have been paid a little late. A lot of our vendors were giving us extensions on our bills, so that might be the November. It was played a little late, so I think that should be okay.
So it's a possibility that February's payment is actually January's payment.
Could
We didn't
be.
pay February.
That's possible.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah. Again, with some proper notes, that could have been a little bit more clear. Another issue that I found with this list was, again, this is not talking about that money is missing. This is basically talking about under the TMRS on page 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. About fourth row from the bottom there, where the check amount is showing $13,645.13. Looks like there's some entries missing there also. Again, it might just be bad coding. But
Are you talking about the TML multi-state?
TMRS, the
16,
page
the
6,
13,
yeah,
645, 13.
yeah, 13,645 and 13.
15,000.
Yeah, so it looks like December through February is missing. But again, it's not that it's missing, but it's just not coded correctly or not entered at all. And that's what, see, a lot of this got pretty messy. And that's why I'd asked Mr. Bain if he could help me out, because he did a lot of this initial work, I know, during the summertime to prepare the budget. And what it looks like was that the budget that was prepared was not completely entered in. So there is some missing information.
So when Hilda had that information for you?
Who puts it in the system? the budget?
I think Hilda did.
Yeah,
She is responsible for that, and we have some more information that'll give you an idea of the scope of the situation. But with regards to the checks over $5,000, what we did this afternoon as part of the process is try to look for patterns. And so if we could back up a little bit, there on page 2, you see the allegiance. There are 2 of them there for 14.5. Okay, well, you would expect to see one for each month. And so there's 60,000 of unrecorded invoices that need to be entered and paid. Whether or not they're paid is a secondary question, because as you manage your expenses, you have to get them recorded into the system. And what seems to have been taking place is that invoices are entered only when they're going to be paid. And that's not the way the accounts payable system is designed to work. And so moving down the line to constellations, you see 4 monthlies there. There are 2 months missing, so that's another $20,000 of expenses that don't seem to be reflected in the system. Page 3, Kingdom Technology Services, you'll see $13,600 three times. There are monthly payments expected as part of that purchasing. I believe that's the ultraviolet disinfectant for the sewer system. And so if there are 3 of those missing, that's another $40,000 of unrecorded expenses.
But once we approve the budget, that comes back, okay, once we approve that budget, that came back to you all.
Then the city administration is empowered to operate within that budget up to the dollar threshold, and it's simply not being entered and processed.
Okay. So is this the same way we've been entering in the past, or is this a new way of entering?
No,
It should be entered
It's,
every day, every
the
month.
way it's been entering,
While I was here in August and September, I worked with the staff at that time so that when mail was opened, there would be a batch prepared of invoices and logged. And then once a week, you enter your invoices, whether or not you're gonna pay them, so that the mayor or whoever's making a decision about what's gonna get paid can have a listing of open items.
Okay, that makes
That
sense.
process is stopped.
Okay, so you shared that with them though?
Oh, yes,
Okay.
yes.
and I think that Sal and I have had a conversation last week. We're addressing that issue. I think that, we're at a point where we have to take, some drastic steps, whether it's retraining or because people are used to the way things were always done. And like when I first came in, there was just stacks of invoices that hadn't been entered because, well, we enter them when we're going to pay them. Well, no, they need to be entered because if they get lost, then you're kind of running around hunting for lost invoices. And they weren't entering them. So that's continuing to be an issue. And then just running reports. When we approved the budget, we approved, the numbers for each, I guess, line item should have been entered. And when Sal came in, he actually found out that and referred back to me that had not been done. So again, that's something that, he as the administrator going to have to address.
Yeah, and that was my question, if that information was shared with the staff.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
because,
And
because
the
then
training-
obviously,
and the
And to
training
finish
is-
the thought process with regards to the checklisting, there's approximately $170,000, by my estimation, of bills that should be here that aren't. And so if the total of the run is $900,000, that's 74%, 75% almost of what's been recorded. So before you in this listing, you have a significant portion of the city's expenditures. Now, moving on to the next item for a handout, which looks like this. The first column of it has to do with the budget. And we've already been alluding to the fact that the budget amount that was approved by council is not what has been entered into the system. And I had a chance to do a little bit of reconciling at my seat, and there's about $100,000 of expenses, $100,000 of revenue, which has not been recorded. And the total, yes, it's a revenue expense, the amount of revenues are understated by 100,000. And the amount of expenses are understated by some 600,000. If you look at the expenditure total on page 1 for Fund 3, that being the garbage fund, you will see that it shows a budget of what, $22,000? And you've spent how much?
It's supposed to be $442,000.
For that specific line item. And so one of the things that's before us will be to get the approved budget into your system so that you have a benchmark to measure your operations. One of the other things that we have determined this afternoon, and keep in mind, folks, this is based upon a real high level, real quick, take a look. Your ad valorem taxes. Most of your ad valorem taxes were due January 31st. Your ad valorem taxes are actually mailed by the tax office to here, and that takes 8 days apparently. And then they're deposited. Well, in the reports that you have this, there are no ad valorem taxes collected, recorded in the month of March yet. And it turns out that your bookkeeping process, she doesn't enter that stuff until the end of the month when she's trying to do the bank reconciliation. Previously, things would be entered on a weekly basis so that you had a reasonable confidence in what you had in your books.
When you say previously, that's when you were here?
That's the way it was being done, yeah. I will tell you that I can't tell you when the last bank reconciliation for the city's dispersing account was completed.
Well, that was way before you even came
Oh,
here,
yeah.
so.
I mean, it's been a long, long time.
I thought it was gonna change with our new budget.
What's
Well,
up?
Well, I think that things are changing. It's just that the numbers that should have been put into the different accounts were not done. And I don't know if it's just lack of knowledge and we've kind of just said, okay, well, we have this budget, so let's go ahead and okay, guys, it's time to enter these numbers into these different accounts. And we don't know if it's just, again, like I said, if it's just lack of knowledge, and if it is, then it has to be addressed. And, you know,
Still unacceptable.
Oh, no,
If it's lack
for
of
sure.
knowledge, then you say something.
for sure. And I think that's something that, the city administrator is going to be addressing, so, because we need to make sure that when we approve a budget as a council, that the numbers for the different line items get entered, immediately after the budget's been approved. And unfortunately, that wasn't done. And, luckily, it took a while to get a city administrator here, but now he's here and he's kind of looking at these things. And, we're kind of finding out that, we might have to take some steps going forward to make sure that, one, we have to make sure that our budget is entered and the monies go into each different line items, to make sure that as our expenditures come through, that it shows and we have actual numbers to work with, instead of just kind of guessing where are we now. So, and I think that's something that, Sally will be working on. I think we spoke about this last week. So,
And to put it in perspective with regards to the scope or extent of the corrections that are needed, that first column that says budget, you actually adopted a balanced budget. That bottom number should not be $500,000. It should be $2,000. The revenues as reflected here are understated by 100,000, and the expenses are understated by 600,000.
And we're sure there was enough appropriate training provided.
I mean, Encode's been in place for quite a while. So, and you've had staff that, should be next to experts when it comes to Encode.
I think it was probably too early because you just came aboard.
Mhm.
But when we approved the budget, I know you were here. And I guess that question would have been to you because, I guess first of all, the training, that we spend enough time with them to teach them the right way. And I think we've had Encode, but there's ways to do things differently. And then, do we have enough staff? Do we have enough personnel in the office? Do they get busy and they just put it to the side, think they'll come back till later and they don't? I don't know what the reason is, but I think the only good thing about it is that we caught it, I think, early.
Well, we're at the we're at the halfway mark.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's better now than later, of course.
Yeah.
It would have been, nice to catch it sooner, but it is what it is.
So I guess the question I would have is how do we fix it?
Well, to piggyback what you said as far as staff, like I feel like I don't have that layer to help me do my job.
Okay.
If I could do finance all day long, then I could probably handle it, but if that's not all I'm doing every day. I mean, I'm getting calls from people, wanting their property back from the PD. I'm getting, PIAs. I'm going out to broken sewer lines and water lines and leaks and meeting with contractors and going to conferences, all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I really wish I could get this fixed, but everything is not going to stop. Everything is still in motion. So, I mean, if this is probably a discussion for later, of course, but I mean, there definitely needs to be some restructuring. There needs to be, there might be some additional cost for that, but it's going to pay for itself in the long run in the sense of we're going to have quality work and quality services.
So, and I think that when it comes to staffing, that's something we need to discuss at another time. It's not really a place. I mean, we might have to
Can we
go
put
into
it in the budget?
executive
I mean,
session.
Well,
Workshop?
I just don't want it to get
Yeah.
worse thinking that Sal has the support and he doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the staffing
Support applicant.
ability, and this is gonna continue to get worse. Or do we bring somebody in for 30 days or 60 days to help Sal get caught up
Yeah.
and get in the right direction? We made a big investment.
But they're still gonna end up in the same situation.
Well, not if we can get somebody like this gentleman here to train and develop the employees.
But don't you think if they didn't learn the training before?
But how much time really did you have to spend with them?
Well, I think,
Again, hold on,
Person that
hold
I
on.
trained at the
Hold on.
city,
We're talking about staffing issues, and staffing issues we need to discuss at another time. All right, because this affects, at another time. If we need to bring in a consultant like Mr. Bain to help you, put the funds into the accounts that need to be, spread that money into the accounts so we know exactly where we are. We'll look at that. I think that's something that we can do right away, to help you, get, at least we can get the budget and we can get the monies into the line items that it needs to be. So like that, we know
Yeah.
where the funds are.
But not knowing what we have,
It's,
how do we know we can afford to bring him in? I mean, I just,
Can we add this to Saturday's workshop?
I don't think we cannot afford to do it.
that's true.
I
It's
mean,
not
I
a lot of
don't
money.
feel that, I feel that this is an important.
Yeah, I mean, again, we're going to talk about how we're going to help Sal with staffing. That's something we need to.
Staffing, I'm talking about the actual financial part of itself.
I don't think that we can take any action in a workshop as far as bringing in a consultant or anything. I mean, we can discuss it at the workshop.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, I mean, we can add it
Let's
to the
discuss-
workshop to discuss.
Financial.
Yeah, I mean, we can do that. And if you want to add.
And that's
it
a
to the
broad,
workshop-
that'd be a broad picture.
So,
Financing and.
to help council members be able to sleep at night. You need to consider the city's systems based upon their components. One of those components, and a major part of their components, has to do with the utility and garbage revenue process. And I can stand here and tell you that that process works well. You have somebody who's trained. Yes, it could be improved upon, but she has resources with other municipalities, which I made introductions to, and she's been mentored more. And so if you look at the utility revenue dollar amounts relative to the budget, that would be system 2. You're halfway through the year, and I think they're at 46, 47%. Not tremendous concern. Your processing of payroll and accounts payable needs help. I understand somebody started last month who replaced the woman that I trained before.
So-
December, I thought.
But not knowing her background and not knowing her prior experiences and things like that, I don't know where to start.
so we'll add, this financial thing to the workshop on Saturday. Billy, you might have to find some.
Yeah. We started, maybe we can start at 9.
We'll start at 9.
9
Start
o'clock.
at 9, and,
At 7.
I won't
You know.
be here,
okay,
fill me in.
Yes.
will do.
Meanwhile, as part of the control process, getting your city administrator in sync with your financial institutions is something that needs to be accomplished this next week.
I think that you've already gotten with the city of Odem, Bank of Odem.
I did, but the snag was that I guess the minutes to remove the previous city administrator was not, those minutes weren't turned in. So I have to find those and get them to the bank
No,
also.
I got an email today that they were good.
Yeah, they
Oh,
were.
So, yeah,
Okay.
they were good. So I got an email. I'll forward that email to you.
Okay, yeah, because
From Dolores.
I went personally this afternoon, and I said, okay, well, we're removing someone now. Can you just take them off, put me on, so I can start getting access? I said, well, no, they won't let me do that. They're back office, so that's where I
Yeah,
left
no,
it. So.
it's good. I'll forward that email to
Okay.
you.
And the record keeping aspect of the city's process is another one of those areas that is in need of critical assistance.
All right, thank you, Mr. Bain.
Thank you, Mr. Ray.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Ray.
Happy New Year.
And
Happy Easter.
Happy
just to
Easter.
kind of close that
Yeah.
part out, and I just a little bit more on my report, and I'll just finish out my side, if you don't mind, Mayor.
No, go ahead.
So Mr. Bain did a lot of good work. It was just poorly executed, to be frank. I mean, and there's all sorts of ways. I mean, we still have to look in to see if you really want those, finite answers. We get those, but I guess the good news is that we're heading in the right direction. There's light at the end of the tunnel. It's very pinhole right now, but we're gonna get there. So it's just a matter of again getting the support, and biting the bullet here and there. But I am very optimistic about the future. So
Well, I think that we all agreed when we set this budget in place that we knew our situation was kind of dire at the time and that we we're going to have to make some pretty drastic decisions. But we also understood that this was going to be a process, and we were looking at 3 to 5 years before the city was really headed in the right direction. So, I mean, I think that we're at least we're headed in the right direction. I mean, we still have a lot of things that we need to kind of address. And, with the new city administrator here, I think some of those things are already being addressed. And, so, I mean, the plan, we knew that we weren't going to turn this around in the first year. I mean, we all knew that. We had those discussions. And so, we'll fix this, and hopefully next year things will look better, or maybe by the end of this year things will start looking better, and then we'll work on our next budget. Yes, ma'am.
I just have a question. So, in a nutshell, what you're saying is that Odem hired a consultant in August, sometime last year, to kind of get our books in order. He did that.
To prepare a budget.
Or to prepare a
And
budget,
a set of tax.
but to look into things, right? So we did that. During that time, he obviously trained somebody. Then he finished. Then y'all brought in a city administrator. And so all the things that he worked hard to implement were not implemented, basically. And so now the budget that is supposed to be balanced is not necessarily balancing the way it should, because what he implemented was not implemented. There was no training for whatever that position holds. Now we have a new city administrator in there who's having the same issues, and y'all keep saying, we'll keep talking about it.
I don't understand your answer is to bring in another consultant, or he's hiring consultants rather than fixing internally what the actual issue is.
And I think that, like I said, myself and Sal have actually discussed, some internal issues that we can address. And I think we're gonna be moving forward with some internal things to address these concerns. Now the budget, which mainly helps us with the budget, where the disconnect was that after the budget was approved, the monies for each individual department should have been broken down into separate different line items. And, right, and well, I mean, not necessarily trained, but more kind of explain to them, okay, this is what needs to happen next. And then, of course, Mr. Bain's contract with us ended, and it appears that wasn't done. The funds for each individual, for example, the maintenance department, those funds weren't separated into the separate line items like it should have done. So once we can get that done, we'll get a better view. But we knew, I mean, we all knew that this wasn't, well, the decisions we made weren't going to fix our financial problems. I mean, we're just struggling month to month still. We're still trying to save here, save there. We might have to spend a little bit here because of, some of the maintenance issues that we have with our equipment, so we might have to hire contractors to do this or do that. But we knew that this wasn't going to be solved overnight.
Right,
So.
and I completely understand that. I just don't want to see it regress, especially because if you have implemented so many consultants and all these tools to make us go through the right path, and we're regressing by not following what we've implemented. As the council should see the budget, if not weekly, monthly, however often you are able to get that information. If anybody has access to our budget, y'all should be the ones looking at it very often.
Well,
I can tell you that we hadn't seen it since October.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue
But
is,
why?
well, the biggest issue, and that's what I was going to answer, is not knowing how to run a report, how to run these reports that they're giving us. And like I said, we don't know if it's something that we need to train differently, that people need to go to additional training. Do we need to bring somebody else to train them on how to run these reports from Encode? But now, like I said, we have the city administrator. He's identifying these problems, and we've kind of talked. I've kind of given him my opinion of what I think we should do going forward. Unfortunately, I can't address that right now because like you said, some issues we need to kind of save for another council meeting, and we need to kind of stay on task. But we're not going to regress. I mean, we're on this,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead, ma'am.
I do feel confident that with the new city administrator, he's been here a short time and already kind of
Oh, I have
found some
absolute
things.
100%.
And I believe that we're on the right track. I
Yeah.
believe that he'll make the decisions or he'll get
And we
us on
trust
the
his
right.
decision as well.
Yeah, he's already identified a lot of little things and even just technical things that I think will save the city money. I think that, one of the things that, we've looked at is generating revenue, ways of generating revenue. And obviously our biggest revenue stream is our water, right? And so, he's already looked at the possibility of bringing in, new meters and stuff like that. So he's already identified a lot of things that, he's working on, and hopefully, we can get a lot of these things fixed,
I don't want you to think that it's not my confidence in him, I absolutely have 100% confidence in him. I know what his value is. That's not my problem. I think that as the council, you all should know exactly what is going on, even before he got here. This should not be news to y'all, because y'all are the council. Y'all have just as much availability to this stuff, and you can't say, I didn't know. That is always what y'all say.
Well, I mean, again, we go back to you're only as good as the information you're provided. And if you have staff that are not trained to run these types of reports correctly, then you're making decisions on information that's really not accurate. And I think that's what he identified in the last few weeks, that he's been kind of looking and digging into this. And that's why he asked, well, is it okay if I reach out to Mr. Bain? And then he called and then Mr. Bain says, hey, I got a call from somebody named Sal. Is it okay if I talk to him? I said, yes, that's our new city administrator. So, bringing them together. And Mr. Baines, again, he's doing this, he's not charging the city to come and sit down and go through this with Sal. So, just give us some time. We're identifying these problems, and we're going to try to take the steps that we need to as a council to make sure that we don't fall back, that we continue to move forward.
Mr. Bain, when did you leave?
Pardon me?
What was the last day you were here? October?
Here?
With your
It's
contract.
like October 1st, October 2nd was the council meeting that did the final rate adjustments and things of that nature. And so the contract that we had at that time started August 1st and went for 8 weeks, and that gets you to that point.
Yeah, I think
So
what,
with regards to the time in October, as the city was adopting the ordinances to implement the rate changes that were part of the budget process, getting the garbage folks lined up to make sure that you knew about the charges and things of that nature. That was just sort of, I'd say, follow-up cleanup. There was part of the city's issue is continuity of staff. Because you had somebody who was doing payroll and accounts payable by the book. Okay. In October. And in fact, there were questions that she was working on from Mr. Hernandez. And she and I sat down and we knocked it out in less than an hour. That had to do with equipment purchases made actually 2 and 3 years ago, financed, I think, by Kansas State Bank or something along those lines. But the point being is that she was fast tracking, but she's gone.
Bring her back.
yeah. And we have to remember, I mean, when we first came in, and Mr. Bain first came in, we had a $1.2 million deficit. I think, is that where we were at? So, I mean, I think that we're kind of working on the right direction, but we all know that this is going to take a few years to correct. And, but, you know, we have a city administrator, I think is going to stick around for a while. You know, and he's done a lot of good work in a very short time, you know, so I think that I think we're headed in the right direction, and like you said, you're worried about regressing. We're not going to regress. We're going to continue moving forward, and the council here understands the situation that we're in, and we're going to do what we need to do to make sure that we fix some of these issues that come up. So, anything else?
So we'll be on the Saturday's workshop.
Yeah, we'll just add it on.
And are we gonna be adding the city staff to our next agenda?
I think we're going well. We'll have to see where Sal is with that. So
I mean, I would like.
some employment issues.
On this.
So we're going to move on to item B, section 3. Thank you, sir.
Enjoy baby, man.
Discuss, consider, and take action to approve a proposal interlocal agreement between the city of Odem and San Patricio County regarding animal control. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the agreement between the city of Odem and San Patricio County.
Motion by Councilman Falcon to approve a proposal for interlocal agreement between the city of Odem and San Patricio County regarding animal control. Second by Councilman Candela. Okay, any discussion?
I didn't hear.
Yeah.
Come on, give it.
Yeah, Mr. Royal's here.
Good evening, Council.
So let me just kind of make a brief statement, and you correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
There's been a lot of issues with dogs, strays. And unfortunately, we don't have an impound or a dog pound or what's it called, animal shelter.
Right. Nor do we currently.
Well, so we used to contract out with other cities, with Robstown.
At one time, we were
Tri-City.
3 cities, Tri-City at one time.
Cap City, maybe.
Yep.
So unfortunately, those cities now have their own issues with strays, and they're not taking any outside strays. But what we do have issues with is I think we've had a couple of dog bites. And because we don't have anybody here to investigate them and to make sure that the correct paperwork is filled out, we're trying to set something up with the county to assist us in some of these matters. So that kind of where we are.
Yes, that
Okay.
is correct. So the interlocal agreement that's being proposed tonight is basically for limited basic services, mainly to control the bite situations going on within the city limits of As we spoke before with your city administrator, each city and county by state law is required to have what we call an LRCA, which stands for Local Rabies Control Authority. We talked about that as well. And so we're here basically to offer that service on a limited basis for basically your bite situations that occur in the city. In handling, all the reporting, any submissions that would need to be done, or any things of that nature.
Would that include taking possession of the animal that was involved in the bite, or?
Yeah, so anytime there's a bite on a person, there's a couple of options. So one, they can get sent in for rabies testing, or two, they can be quarantined. Rabies testing, of course, owner has to surrender, or it's a dog that we don't know who it belongs to, because the dog unfortunately has to be euthanized to do that. So that's the one option. So if it's an owned dog, we try to veer away from that, as long as they want to keep their pet. Quarantines, again, branches off into more options. Depending on the situation, they can do a home quarantine, or they would have to put it in a facility. It just, like I said, depends on the situation, what happens. If the dog's been vaccinated before, did the dog bite somebody in his driveway, or was he running 3 blocks down the road? Was it, a fight between dogs, or did the dog aggressively just go after somebody? So just depending on the situation. When it comes to facilities, they are limited, and that's going to be at the owner's expense. So if we go there and say, okay, we need a home quarantine, and they don't have anywhere they can keep their dog confined, they don't have a kennel, they just normally keep the dog let it roam or what have you, something like that, they would be forced either surrender the dog, or you're gonna have to put it in a facility at your own cost. My only concern right now is if they don't comply. So in here, I'm not seeing anything where it's stating on who's going to enforce that. As the LRCA, I can enforce it under Health and Safety. I can enforce that, but I didn't see anything legal in here. And I don't know if it needs to be written, or if that's just verbal between the legal team that they, would want us to enforce that. We can't enforce leash laws because we don't have an ordinance ourselves. But rabies, no rabies vaccination, if the legal says that we can, then that would be something that we can enforce.
Okay.
So another thing, just to kind of a lot of people believe, once we have, this happens with the city of Gregory, for example, that we have a contract with them, and they think that since we have a contract with the city of Gregory, that we are going to do everything regarding animal control. That's not the case. I just wanted to make that clear. This is not for us patrolling your streets, picking up strays, writing citations, for leash laws that we can't enforce. So it's basically, like I said, any aggressive type dog situations, particularly bites, or if there's at the school bus stop, there's dogs surrounding these kids, trying to attack these kids, things like that we would address, but nothing other than that really for this agreement.
Yeah, and I think I reached out to Gregory, and I think that's something that we can definitely benefit from at this point, because I think you said that since we don't have a what's again?
LRCA?
LRCA, that I'm the LRCA
by default.
By default, and I don't want to be the LRCA by default. So
yeah, and then another thing is also, just looking at the future, if you do get the code enforcement or PD back, that is a revenue generator to enforce the leash law, which can be a city ordinance, and most city ordinances, violations, anywhere up to $2,000 a day, so that's a really revenue generator there to have that enforced by a PD officer.
Right. So, and I think that that's something we're going to be discussing at our next workshop as well. So have you guys had a chance to read the
on the second paragraph, we're up.
I did notice that. Yeah, I saw that just right now when I was sitting down. There's general funds that we can pull from. Again, it's not something that was a line item, so we'll have to figure out how we do that and justify it and track it in the system.
And it's 300, how much?
A quarter. Yeah. It's $350 a month, but you will be paid quarterly. with the first payment due in June of 2024. And we figure every quarterly would be more efficient on the administrative side, so not, you don't have to issue invoices every single month. So it would just wrap it up a lot quicker and tighter.
So who would call y'all out, the sheriff department?
Either sheriff's department, or if we got a call from, someone with the city of Odem, whoever calls our office. But I will tell you, we get a tremendous amount of calls, on things for services that we cannot provide though, so like, our office number is 361-587-3500, and that is our main office line that's answered, Monday through Friday from 8 to 12 and 1 to 5. If it's after hours, they need to contact the sheriff's office, and they will relay the message to animal control. And after hours is basically just for bites. So, that's pretty much all we're doing anyway. So.
Yeah, and I think I just want to I just want to make sure that I let, and I think this is something that, people are very, very, concerned about the amount of stray in the community. But I want to say to our community that there just isn't any place to take them right now. And we can't cage them up and keep them, behind the maintenance shop. So we're working on, hopefully, I know I spoke to Ingleside because Ingleside kind of expanded their animal shelter. But again, when I spoke to them the last time before and it's going to be a while before that animal shelter is actually completed. So,
and we are currently working. We've been working for some time now on getting an agreement with the city of Robstown. And we actually had it ready to go on their last agenda. And at the last minute, kind of just like here, someone found something, a dot wasn't, T wasn't crossed, or it was very, very minor changes, but we ended up having to table it that night, and it should be on for this coming month as well again. So that will give us, an option, and then, we are still currently entertaining the idea of, getting, a shelter within San Patricia County, hopefully in the next, year or two. So that's been on the table for some time now, but I know we're very limited on what we can do, but I felt like that, we needed to help you guys out, especially with the amount of bites and calls that we were getting and social media posts that we were seeing, about, these bites happening and nothing being done.
Well, I think if we had like 2 or 3 bites like back to back in the same neighborhood, I think the same dog was 2 of them. I think it was a owner dog, wiener dog or something. A little terrier, where they were trying to assist the terrier, I believe, because he was caught in a cage fence or something.
Mm-hmm.
So they were actually trying to help him, and he would reach back and, snapped at him. So, yeah, there was like 2 or 3 like right back to back. So.
Would you like us to table it to get the minor corrections done, or what is your plan?
I'll just make a motion to I looked at it with the issue of the enforcement. That kind of concerns me. And I've got a couple questions, and we'll talk about the enforcement. But you mentioned you all don't have a shelter.
Correct.
To take it on, and you're trying to work something out with Robstown, right? Mm-hmm. Now, if you fall down, let's say for a fight here in Odem, and you pick up that dog, you'll transfer it over to Robstown, or not?
No, it's not current yet. Currently, we do have a contract with the city of Aransas Pass and the city of Taft. Now, the city of Aransas Pass is a state licensed quarantine facility, so we had to impound it. That would be an option there, and then also there's an option as far as like a vet clinic at the owner's expense.
And who would pay those fees? The owner of the dog or the city?
The owner of the dog. And he was involved in the bite?
To send them into the state, the state doesn't actually charge. Where the cost is actually the FedEx, the shipping, and usually the county would take the hit on that. So I don't know legal, I don't know if that would still be the case, or, being that y'all would be paying. So if I have one like that in Gregory, there's no question about it. Normally, because I'm the LRCA, now when it comes to enforcing their rabies, they write their own citations for that, but there's no PD. So that's why it was a concern for me here. We don't write the citations in the city of Gregory if their dog's not vaccinated. It's up to that PD officer to write that citation. Now, another thing that I can possibly try to help you guys out with, which would be big, is not up to me. But so for City of Gregory, because we represent them, because we have an agreement, I'm able to get them on the free PAC grant list for spaying and neutering. That would not be up to me. I would have to talk to Cheryl Martinez. Once we're in agreement, I can ask her for the remaining of the year till they run out of money, if that would be an option. Being that, if we have an agreement, just like we did Gregory and Ingleside on the Bay, maybe I can get some of y'all streets on the list for free spaying and neutering for the city. That would help tremendously, but again, it's not up to me. That would be something, and I don't think that would have to be in any additional writing because we already have an MOU. And so whenever we did that for Gregory, we didn't have to do anything additional because we're already in agreement with them. So we represent them. So like I said, I can talk with her to see what she says about it.
And this is year number 2 for that grant. The first year was $125,000, and the second year that we're currently in was $200,000. So, and it's we pass out flyers all the time, put it on social media, and a lot of people have taken advantage of it. The first year we had it's quite a bit. They sent us a report on all the people that go in there. Yeah. So I know a lot of people have mentioned, how does Sitten don't have it? How come Odem doesn't have it? So. But yeah, I think that would really help y'all, and it would probably work as long as we can get saying that we, the county service, the city of Odom, will probably get y'all on board for that.
What's the enforcement issue that you brought up? Let's say the owner decides they want to quarantine their dog in their home, and you said they're not in compliance or they're not complying. What enforcement power would you have to make them comply? Or
so if as an LRCA, if they're not complying, as in they're not quarantining their dog. So say they're supposed to do a home quarantine, the dog's seen at large, we can pick it up and impound it ourselves. The enforcement issue I was having was citations for no rabies. Like I said, normally the PD and Gregory would handle that. I can, if both legal teams on both parties agree that that would be fine for us to do that.
So you can have the power if we allow you to have it, or legal.
Yeah, so
Yes.
I think it's important that we.
Oh, yeah, but we don't have a PD right now. We might as well give her the authority to.
Well, we can approve this thing with that addition.
Well, also changing to general law, and then what else? Unless y'all want to.
The enforcement.
Well, being that it's not going to be effective in June, can we bring it to the table in May?
Let's table it.
Well, it's effective upon execution, not June. June is the first payment.
Oh, so you're giving us a freebie?
Come
on.
Yeah.
So if we execute it now, you start now.
Well, it would have to get basically
But
through
still-
commissioner's court as well for
Right.
approval.
Just might have just a work change.
Yeah.
And that's it.
I mean, it might be in the best interest, so y'all meet once a month, right? So.
Well, we have special club meetings, so we can always put that in.
So would that be something that would even have to be contracted in? Because as LRCA, I would be able to do that. It would just be a matter of between the legal team to allow it. I mean, I don't know if it really has to be put in writing.
And you're not necessarily enforcing the city ordinance. It's under, yeah, it's under Health and Safety Code, Chapter 826.
And it's under administrative 69.
Then if you just plug that in, Epi, and just say under the Texas local government code, whatever.
Chapter 826.
Then it doesn't get the PD involved. It just gives her the power to go ahead and take over.
And believe me, the more and more I read it, something else comes to my mind.
And do y'all enforce, do y'all have, like dog owners, are they supposed to register their dogs at the city?
Yeah, we used to, we have tags where they pay $5. They get a tag, it's registered in the computer, but,
You have required microchipping too?
No.
Just a
It was
city,
just a
city tag?
in case the dog was loose.
Citations, all those that y'all would have record that they didn't have that, and then y'all would be able to enforce as a city that they weren't registered. So whenever they go pay their fine or whatever, y'all can get them to register with the city.
See, and the PD was the same way. If they picked up a stray, even a stray dog, it would go to Robstown, and somebody claimed it, then they have to go pay to get that dog out. And then they have to make sure that they got the rabies and all the shots, and then we made them get a tag and everything.
So that's the same thing So typically, by state, in order to allow a home quarantine, there's supposed to be two rules. One, the dog is current with the vaccination, and two, the bite had to happen in the household. I'm a little lenient more than I should be, just because we don't have a facility where I can't be picking stuff up. So depending on the situation, I let some of that slide a little bit, and I really shouldn't by state, but we're limited at what we can do with our choices. Some of these quarantine facilities are over $500 for the 10-day period. And when I have, an 85-year-old grandma that she just can't afford it, I don't want to take the animal away from her and have it euthanized. So I try to work with the people, but again, I expect them to do what I ask. I don't expect them to tell me they're going to, and I see their dog running around playing with the neighbor's dog. So that was a concern about the enforcement.
Yeah. And any submission that we have to do, I mean, the results are almost immediate. I mean, within probably 24 hours sometimes. So, and it's basically, the state laws, any domestic, dog, cat, or domestic ferret is what we're doing for the bites.
Well, I think what we can do is, maybe we can have our city attorney kind of make those changes on the agreement, and then we can forward that to y'all.
And have our legal team
Have
review
your
it.
legal team review it, make sure that we're all, and I think we can go ahead and move forward and approve it today. And then, we'll just finish up those touch up, what we need to. And then, once it's, your legal team agrees on it, where our attorney is okay with it, then we'll sign it and we'll move on. I think it's a good plan.
Does this require a second reading or just one?
No.
Just one?
We're
Okay.
good.
And so for the spaying and neutering, being that we don't patrol Odem that often, I'm actually in the process of updating my streets right now. If y'all want to get with me, or some of the streets are seeing like really bad packs, to let us know so we can add those, because they're not going to add like the whole city. We have to pick certain streets.
77.
So I know,
The
I know
stripes.
anywhere around the schools, we'll start off like around the schools. Cook Street, I know that was where we had the 2 bites. So, but like your water department, let the guys know, hey, when y'all are out doing your stuff, let us know where those packs are, and we'll try to get those added so that we can have that already ready to go.
Yeah, great, perfect.
Like I said, I have to ask Cheryl first, but I don't see a reason why she wouldn't.
Mr. Mejia?
If it's a cat that bites somebody, yes, we're doing, so we're doing aggressive dogs that actually have a bite towards person. If a cat bites somebody, yes. Because we're doing rabies control.
Yeah.
Now, in the future, whenever we get a facility and we've got plenty of space, if the city wants to renegotiate and we have a city, that's a little different, but right now it's strictly like rabies control. I mean, if I'm going to get
Any more discussion?
and we're not really
Well, I don't think we've enforced it for a while, so, but
the thing is every city center in Colorado, where do you put a commission? There's a lot of stuff. They could have taken off before, you might have some problem. And they said, we were doing very well. And then they said, hey, we can't take them anymore, we're full.
Yeah, so the proposal over there is basically we will have a dedicated use of a certain number of kennels set aside for county use. Yeah, and anything additional, it might be like a case by case basis, but there, I think it was 3 set aside for county use, including the use of 1 quarantine as well. That's the Nueces County, not the city of Robstown. So we are actually, I have reached out to Nueces County as well. So that may be an option. Because I've reached out just to every agency who could probably think of.
So I think we can go ahead and move with the motion by Councilman Falcon to approve the proposed interlocal agreement between the city of Odem and San Patricio County regarding control, and second by Councilman Candela. Is there any other questions? Phase 1? Yes. Phase 2? Phase 3? Phase 4? Phase 5? So motion carries unanimously. I think item C also kind of falls in the same.
Correct.
No, real quick, I'm sorry. Did that motion include the amendment to make it general law?
Make the amendments to that.
Thank you.
Item C, discuss, consider, and take action to appoint the San Patricio County Animal Control Supervisor as the local rabies control authority. Do I have a motion? Motion by Councilman Falcon. Do I have a second? Second by Councilman Alvaro. Okay, we're going to move on to discussion. I think we've had a lot of discussion already. And so if you don't have any other questions or any discussion, we'll move with the vote. Phase 1? Yes. Phase 2? Phase 3? Phase 4? Phase 5? So the motion carries unanimously. Welcome aboard.
You are officially off the hook, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you document that in the minutes?
15 years, going on 16.
Documented, you said I'm off the hook.
So, and we also will send a designation form into the Texas Department of State Health Services for recording that the city of Odem does now have an LLC. So the state maintains the database of all those LLCs throughout, our region, which is Region 11. So,
thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, really, we appreciate that. Okay. Just get with Sal. Thank you.
You can start tonight. We're gonna talk about the strikes.
And if you want the sheriff office number, the non-emergency, it's 364-9600.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll go straight and out to this.
So, item D, discuss, consider, and take action to approve resolution 634, designating the city administrator to act as custodian of the Odem Police Department's records and designating the city administrator as the city's agent for service of a formal request for public records of the Odem Police Department. Do I have a motion? Motion by Councilman Candela. Do I have a second? Second by Councilman Alvaro. Any discussion?
Is that legal? Can we do that?
And that's why we had to do this, because right now we've got so many requests by attorneys requesting accident reports, whether they're working and these lawyers are basically personal injury lawyers that are requesting accident reports, video, witness statements, things like that, regards to those cases. And there's one or two that are working criminal cases. Without anyone over there, Right.
But keep
No.
in mind that in section 2, he
Right.
can't go in there by himself. He's having to.
Before doing that, of course, you have to grab the chief to see what the actually although I did contact Ochoa on all these requests, and he indicates to me that all these requests have been compliant. The attorney want to be safe. I said, okay, I just want to make sure that we got everything, and this is the only way we can accomplish that. Or else we're going to be in violation of the ethics.
He picks up the phone, he makes the phone call to the sheriff's department. They both go together over there.
Yeah.
So we don't have a code right now to get in.
We have the codes to get into the facilities, and it's just a matter of IT resetting the passwords to get into the computers and the files. I'm not aware whether the files are digital or hard copies. There's a lot of stuff that's locked up I've just never got into. We've just mostly gone over there for technical issues.
Basically go there and look for that information.
Correct.
Or look on the computer.
Right, right.
Some of it may be digital.
Yeah, because I've gotten requests, like he said, just PIA requests for records, criminal records. I've also got requests from other organizations, other agencies wanting personnel records from former police officers. And my understanding is that for some reason that those records weren't maintained at City Hall; they were maintained at the PD. There was a disconnect definitely between the PD and City Hall, but like I said, there are some drawers that are locked up there, but we might not have keys for, so we might need to just pop those open and get it.
Judge?
We need.
I was gonna ask you, Judge and the clerk, do this since we're the ones that know exactly what the forms look like and what we are needing.
I don't know if it's the judge,
The judge and the clerk, when we're needing, reports for for the judge's office.
But that wasn't the intent in creating this, was to comply with the open records from individuals or attorneys or agencies asking for these type of records. And right now, we have no one to comply with that. So that's why we need to designate someone. The issue, I guess, the issue that you're bringing.
If, we already knew what the forms were.
Yeah.
But there's got to be somebody in the record for public information. That's what,
Yeah,
y'all
so
can
she's
help.
asking if she can
Y'all
do
can
it.
help.
Well, I think what she's asking, instead of a law enforcement
Yeah, but-
agent, that she could go, but I don't think that's possible.
No,
So, I mean, don't get me wrong, Judge. I mean, if you can help me pinpoint some records and I'll be out there in 5 minutes, I'll lean on you. Yeah,
So
okay.
he's got to the court. He's got to the public.
So could it be the police,
Well, it'll be set on.
does it have to be?
Yeah.
Has to be somebody in the city.
Wherever you guys live,
he's gonna be escorted in there for his protection as well. Because he can't go in there on his own and just retrieve stuff, and then later on, they say, hey, well, that stuff disappeared, or who went in there, Sal? But when you have a police officer.
Well, I'm not saying to go away to police officer, I just saying to.
Oh.
Sit down. The other opportunity we have.
Okay.
Can you do it?
Since I've been here on average,
Find the forms, I mean, once we get the keys to know where they're at, I can find a report, I can find anything that's needed.
Can the constable go with you?
if you want to.
Oh, yeah, any police officer,
Any law enforcement.
any law enforcement. Oh,
Well,
we'll
to
get
the,
them.
yeah, we still need to get the passwords to the computer systems.
To answer your question,
She can help.
Councilman Alvaro, since I've been here, this is what, my 5th week. I've probably got an average of 2 to 3.
See, there's also inventory in there. People are requesting.
Yeah, people are requesting property that was confiscated. I mean, my question is, my exposure, my liability, because I'll be honest with you, there's stuff lying around there that should be lying around there, and I don't want to get into it too much, but I don't want to be going in there and someone say, oh, you moved that, or that should be an evidence, or is this, or stuff's missing. I don't want to be part of that. That's my concern with this. So I feel like I don't mind being, again, this is just something additional I got to do, and then I got to do it. And I don't mind, I especially would like someone in law enforcement to escort, so there are witnesses there. But even prior to that, I really would like to. I mean, we can still do this, but I would still like to have some sort of like official inventory. I don't know if that's done by the sheriff's office or the or DPS or Texas Rangers, but I mean, there needs to be a real strict inventory of what's in there because, like I said, there's just stuff that's kind of. I mean, honestly, it looks like people just left because there's stuff on the desk still as if they were there yesterday. I mean, that's how quick people left. So.
As far as the evidence was, whether it be weapons or narcotics, and that's not the, again, that's not the intent of this. And I think I spoke to a couple of individuals that called and said, and they confiscated some weapons, and my case is over. I want my gun. So basically, what they need to do is go get an order, a signed order from the judge, releasing that confiscated property. Right? We're just not going to release the guns.
Right, he doesn't have,
They need to go do it. I explained that to the individual, and I think he called again. So there's a process that you can follow, and I explained that to that gentleman. But you're gonna have a signed order.
Right, signed order, but when I go, I'll be the one responsible to go with someone in law enforcement to get that.
Right. And then just have them sign up.
Any other questions? I think this is a good plan for the meantime because we are getting a lot of requests. So I think this is a good plan for now. If we don't have any other questions, we'll go ahead and so ordinance 634 designating the city administrator. I have a motion by Councilman Candela to approve ordinance 634 designating the city administrator to act as custodian of the Odem Police Department's records and designating the city administrator as the city's agent for service of a formal request for public records of the Odem Police Department. The second by Councilman Alvaro. If we don't have any other discussion, we'll move forward with the vote. Place 1.
Yes.
Place 2. Place 3. Place 4. Place 5. The motion carries. We can just give it to him right now. We'll move on to item E, discuss, consider, and take action to approve resolution 635. Let's see, recognizing the services and commitment of the City of Odem Volunteer Fire Department members. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve resolution 635.
I'll second it.
And a second. I have a motion by Councilman Dominguez, second by Councilman Candela. Any discussion? This was something that I put into the council, to the meeting. October is usually, I believe, October is Fire Safety Awareness Month, and the council was really busy with budgeting and finances, and we didn't recognize what our volunteer fire department does for us on a daily basis here. And so, I wanted to draft something just to recognize them. I'm going to read this resolution, 635, recognition for the service and commitment by the Odem Volunteer Fire Department members. Be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Odem, Texas, a resolution to recognize the men and women of the Odem Volunteer Fire Department for meritorious service. Whereas our nation has conceived by individuals who are willing to sacrifice their personal safety and concerns to ensure our individual and collective well-being, and the city of Odem is especially proud to be the home of so many valiant men and women who have performed above and beyond the call of duty. And whereas so many within our community continue this time-honored tradition of volunteerism through service as firefighters, and whereas it is appropriate that the members of the city council should honor those citizens who have performed with uncommon devotion and enthusiasm throughout their years of service, and whereas the volunteers of the City of Odem Volunteer Fire Department are such outstanding public servants who have served the department and their community with eagerness, and whereas, in addition, many have their full-time jobs and families at home, and whereas many are proud sons, daughters, parents, brothers, sisters with devoted family values of the highest order, and are most appreciative of the love and support they share with their families. And whereas the volunteers of the Odem Volunteer Fire Department exemplify the spirit and allegiance to family and community that are characteristic of a true Odem resident. And whereas they have demonstrated the utmost professionalism, ability, and integrity, winning the unbridled respect and admiration of their colleagues around the county and a grateful community, now therefore be it resolved by the City of Odem of the State of Texas City Council concurring that we commend the volunteers of the City of Odem Volunteer Fire Department for their significant contributions to the citizens of this community, even as we honor their display of fortitude in the face of adversity and their steadfast commitment to living the examined life with courage and conviction. Be it further resolved that an appropriate copy of this resolution be prepared for presentation. Um, so I just want to say that I want to thank you all for not only your patience throughout this year with the equipment issues that we've had, but I speak to city administrators and other council members and other mayors, probably on a weekly basis. And I can tell you that over the last almost year now, I've had them ask continuously, when are you going to have this truck fixed? When are you going to have that truck fixed? So I see the importance of what we have in our little community, not just to us, but the importance to these other communities and how you guys go out there and serve not only us, but you serve this entire county. And I apologize that we didn't recognize the department in October. And I hope that you understand we were really caught up with, the financial part of our jobs as council members. But I want to really say thank you on behalf of the city and our community for everything that y'all do. I actually have these little coins, and I'm going to read what it says in the back. I'm going to have to zoom it in because my glasses don't work that well. So firefighters, it says, God bless firefighters. Firefighters never die. They just burn forever in the hearts of the people whose lives they save. And it's true. I mean, I think I saw you guys respond to two semi trucks were involved in a car accident, and one of the gentlemen was trapped in his vehicle. And you guys, along with Sinton, I believe, was there as well, helped pull him out of that vehicle. And I'm sure that he probably can't thank you all enough for what you guys did for him at that moment. And I think that until we, just like EMS services and police, and until we actually need them, we don't always appreciate them. And I want to just, say that you said there were 16 of y'all? 16. So if you could come up here, Chief, and I'm going to give you, this is the front. And I'm, yeah.
Got it.
And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Well, I think that's 16. Let me just give you this bag while I'm here. And I'm gonna give you these extras. So, get any new volunteers. Again, I just want to say thank you guys for what y'all do. And I apologize. Yeah, you can also share them with other firefighters. And again, I apologize for not taking this action back in October. But, I hope that you understand, where we were at the time. And I wanted to make this kind of, I'll take this opportunity to thank y'all. Did you wash your hands?
Yes, sir.
All right, good. So again, I will give you all a copy of this once we have it signed and everything, so y'all can, put it there, frame it if you want. And again, I'm sorry that most of the guys can't work. I know they all work and have jobs, but if you could just let them know that we really appreciate everything y'all do, and hand them these little challenge coins, and you can hopefully carry them with them, and understand, that we haven't forgotten, and we'll try not to forget next time. Thank y'all. So,
One quick question, Mayor.
yeah, go ahead, sir.
I know there's ordinance number 634 and then resolution number 635. I think
Yeah, I think they might have.
I don't think we number the resolutions, only the ordinances.
No, I
Are
think
you
we have
following numbers or?
On the
Yeah, on
ordinance.
the ordinance, because I don't think we do resolutions. I think it's only ordinance that we do numbers.
Well, I think the resolutions that we've done recently
remember,
had numbers on them.
But
Yeah.
what a coincidence that it's 634,
No, though,
635.
I think there was,
So
they just went to the next, but I think the ordinances is in the 300, so. they might not
Yeah,
be
yeah,
correct.
okay. That's what I was saying. Okay, all right.
So this is for the resolution, if you guys want to sign it, so we can get them a copy. So I guess we're going to go ahead and move with the vote. If there isn't any more discussion on resolution 635, place 1,
Yes.
place 2,
Yes.
place 3,
Yes.
place 4,
Yes.
place 5. The motion carries unanimously. We're going to move over to item 4, mayor, council, and staff reports. Um, I have a few things that I'd like to report on. Hopefully it won't take too long. Update on Operation Lone Star and the review of the governor's office. I spoke to Miss Merriam of the OOG's office this morning. She is finishing up the audit review, and she will be finalizing her report. It has to go to a peer review, so their office of the governor will review her report, and then they will forward that to us and let us know. They did receive the check for the $768, I believe, that we
Okay.
had to pay them back. So that was, we met that requirement. They did review the policies and procedure draft that we submitted to them, as well as documentation that they were requesting. So now we're going to have to wait to see what the report that they come back with, to see if there's going to be any additional monies that we have to pay back, or if we met the requirements that they wanted. And hopefully, we won't have to pay back any funds, but we'll wait on that. But at this point, it looks like we've submitted everything that they asked for. They're finishing up the audit, and as soon as she finishes up her part, it'll go to the peer review, and we'll just have to wait until they respond with their report. So That's where we are with that. We don't know exactly know what it is, how much, if anything, we're gonna have to pay, but we'll hopefully find out soon. On the second item here, update on internal department reviews. We're still, like I said, Sal has been here a few weeks and he's been looking at different things and he's found some concerns that we're going to be addressing, not only on the financial side, but as far as like equipment and again with the police department having to pass this ordinance that we just passed. We're also part of the internal review. We've kind of found some discrepancies with not only at City Hall, but also with the police department impound, some vehicles that may have been sold to individuals without going through the auction. I'm not really sure if that's legal. I think Sal's going to be working with Epi to find out if that's something that's legal. Because my understanding has always been if it's city property, it has to go through the process of auction and can't be sold directly to individuals by the city. We also found that there was maybe a vehicle that was traded in to a dealership for city vehicles. Again, I don't know if that's legal or not, and I know Sal will be working with Epi on that to find out if that was done legally, and if not, who authorized. Because any surplus, any property that's owned, my understanding has to be auctioned off. I don't know, Epi, what's your understanding of city property and surplus?
Well, when it's city property, of course, you want to identify whether you still need that piece of property or whether it's just excess property, right? And then you come up with a value. But then the council's got to surplus that. You got to make a list and you surplus that. Say, okay, this is surplus, and you put a number in it and say, okay, this is what we want to do. Either sell it to direct buyer or take it to auction or whatever you want to do.
Okay.
But
So
we're talking about equipment that's already been sold, am I correct?
correct.
There's nothing we can do about it. Am I correct?
Legal
Well,
actions.
but if it's already been sold, I mean,
Huh?
if it's already been sold or what, I mean, there's nothing we can do. That owner already
It's done.
bought it. Now, what needs to be done is looked at to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Right,
Correct.
right.
But,
So that's what we need to look at,
Yeah.
the process.
Well, that's
and
what I'm saying.
the basis.
It's got to be looked into to see what happened so it doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
But as far as trying to retrieve that,
Gone.
it's gone.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, we're not going to get that.
Just put the documentation, documentation.
Policy, yeah, that's good.
So
You could, I mean,
Would anything be filed against the person that did it?
I don't know. Those are things that we'll have to talk with
yeah,
you
I
know.
look at it, I mean,
Epi.
and it all comes down whether, I mean, was there an intent to defraud the city? Or was it something again where somebody just overstepped their authority?
Is
Yeah, that would be something.
Is there a statute of limitation on all of those?
Not when it comes to criminal.
I mean,
I mean.
Civil, yes, but not
Statute,
criminal.
yeah, well, criminal, yeah. Give us.
or criminal, if it's felony, you got 3 years or 4 years. If it's misdemeanor, you got 2 years.
Yeah,
Oh, you still have limits?
still.
Yeah.
I,
On,
So I guess Sal will work with Epi to see, and I don't think this intent is to try to recover the property, because we're not going to go back to somebody who out of I guess I don't know the word, but they not understanding purchasing a vehicle or purchasing whatever, thinking, okay, well, they're selling it to me. However, we as a city going forward, I mean, I think we're going to have a long discussion this weekend about where we're going to go with the police department. We've got to make sure that this isn't going to happen again, and that we're not violating any laws out there, that people are, like Epi just said, overstepping their boundaries, because if vehicles were sold to individuals without going through the impound, obviously it's not fair, because I mean, maybe I wanted to bid on a certain vehicle, but that vehicle was sold to somebody, without me giving an opportunity. I think that we as a city want to be able to say, okay, well, we're doing this, and this is the procedure we're following, and we're not going to allow people to just be selling vehicles to sell size. I'm going to sell it to, this person or that person. I know that we have, the gentleman just called us, he's the chief for the new police department in Cal Allen Independent School District. And he just contacted us that he wants to know if we have any equipment that we're looking to liquidate from the police department, because it's a new department in Cal Allen. And I asked Sal to hopefully get a copy here in the next few days to see if it's something within interagency that we can do, or if we can't do it in interagency, then they'll just have to come, and if we have an auction or something of equipment, maybe they can bid on it and go from there. But we're not going to just say, oh yeah, sure, we've got bulletproof vests that we can sell you, or we have, cameras that we can sell you or whatever. No, I mean, we have to make sure that it's going to be done correctly.
We could have done that on the grant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
There's some individuals that want to do that traffic patrol too, that need those cars that, but they gotta be licensed. and stuff.
Where's the second page for this?
I got it.
One back up.
Oh, okay.
There you go. All right.
This one. Hold on just a second. Okay, update on potholes and drainage. Sal's been driving around with maintenance, and we've kind of looked at potholes. We're kind of determining whether it's something that our maintenance team can address, or should we just look to see if we can hire someone to come and address it. The material that we've purchased, I think is working fantastic at some of the areas that we've put high traffic areas. So we want to kind of look and to see which is the best and most economical way for us to address all these potholes. I know in front of the school right there where you guys live, I mean, there's so much traffic through there. There's always issues with potholes. So that's something that we're working on, and Sal and I have been talking about, what's the best way for us to address this, because obviously our maintenance guys don't have the equipment. I mean, yeah, they can throw some, filler into the hole and then stamp it down like that, but is that really going to last? I mean, or should we, take more steps to make sure that these potholes aren't going to become a nuisance later on as well? So, we're kind of discussing that. That's where we are. We've ordered, like I said, this material, and it seems to be working well. It's actually crushed granite versus, reclaimed asphalt. So it seems to be working really well. It doesn't sink as much after being put in place. The other thing I have here is drainage on Front Street. The Water District, San Patricio Drainage District, I apologize. The San Patricio Drainage District they submitted a proposal a few years ago, I think, to the previous mayor on some drainage issues right there on the 400 block of Front Street. They're already out there. They're going to redo the culverts, some of the driveways. They're going to, redo the ditches. Obviously, I mean, the rest of the city has curbs and stuff, and ideally, we'd like to maybe do something a little bit different. But in the meantime, the drainage district is handling this for us. So hopefully this will help with some of the runoff, that we can redirect it in the right direction. And later on in the future, when we're in a better situation, we can look at maybe adding the curbs and stuff that weren't done, I guess, when those original curves were done. So we just have a lot of things to kind of address in that little section, but the San Patricio Drainage District is working on that, and hopefully this will kind of alleviate some of the problems that they have as far as water flowing towards the homes and maybe direct it in the right direction. It's not necessarily where some of the residents, they would like to see something different, but right now, it's a start. And, we'll just kind of have to go from there, see how this works. And if we're still having issues, then we'll address them as we move forward.
They're taking that money out of our pool.
Yes.
How much?
I'll have to find out for sure. I don't have the exact number for him.
No, we have over 100,000,
Like
probably about 100,000.
Yeah.
That's what's in there.
107,000. No,
Well,
the
city
drainage
gets-
district,
gives us money.
we,
set aside money each year for you.
Yeah.
right, but he's asking how much we have in there. We haven't used it in years, so
Mhm.
probably over, between 100 and 150, probably. Now, Mayor, going back to the curb situation, you're right, everybody wants to see curb. I saw where
Yeah.
people were complaining that they want to see curbs. The same thing happened on Main Street, where the people wanted curbs. Now, back in the day when they did all of these curbs and the expansion of streets, the curbs were paid by the residents. It was $6 a linear foot. So the residents paid. And Main Street was not done because it's TxDOT. Well, now TxDOT, years later, they did it, which is a good thing. Now, Front Street came years ago and we addressed the situation. We says, well, we'll pay a portion of it, but the resident might have to pay another portion.
Yeah,
They didn't want that. So
obviously.
it goes back to, back in the day, it's,
Right.
the residents paid for it. It wasn't
Yeah.
a grant. It wasn't bond or nothing like that. It was
Well, that's something that I think that, and we have to kind of explain to the residents that, that's how it was done initially. I know that the city of
Yeah.
Corpus, if they're going to fix your street, then the residents have to pay a portion of the road
Yeah.
repairs. So, but yeah, ideally, it's not, the solution that they want, but
Right.
we'll see how this works, and hopefully it will resolve some of the issues that we have there. And then, of course, we'll have to look at that, later on. But I think it's a start, like Councilman Dominguez said. So,
Mayor, I have something. So just so anyone that's, when they first started digging out there, they called me out there because they ran into an issue. There was basically, the culverts going this way. Well, they had gas lines that are going through the culvert under the street and then goes wherever, I don't know. And it was kind of weird. Even CenterPoint had trouble finding where these lines were. So I made a decision at that point. I said, just dig around it, and then our guys will come back later, and then they're going to reroute. And so not necessarily gas, but there was I think it was water, right? Water, it was water, yeah. Water lines. CenterPoint will take care of their part, but we'll have to reroute the water lower and just kind of angle it so they can backfill it. So if anyone sees exposed pipes out there, we'll address it.
Okay.
So just don't be alarmed by that.
fantastic. And then update on the homeless concerns. I know that we have 2 residents in our community that there's a lot of concerns about. They haven't done anything to threaten anyone, or they haven't committed any crimes. I just want to I want the community to understand that if they're on private property, the city can't do anything about it. It has to be the owner of that property. When they were at the Exxon, we had to try to get a hold of Sam. Apparently, Sam is pretty sick right now, so he's got somebody handling his affairs. Once they made the call, the county came out here and basically told them, you either leave or we're going to arrest you for trespassing. One of the gentlemen has been kind of hanging out at the park. Obviously, in the day, it is a public place, so he can be out there hanging out. What he can't be doing, though, is be under the influence. And I think last night the sheriff's department was called out yesterday evening because somebody reported that he may have been under the influence. They came out and checked on him. They said that he wasn't. And he's now staying at the Vega Homes where the farmer's insurance used to be, right there on the corner. Yeah,
There's
through the
one at
drive-through.
Vega Homes and the other one's at the tile place.
Right, and the other one's at the tile place.
They just split up.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is
So we're trying to find out who the actual owner, since the tile place is no longer there. I think they were leasing that property. So we're trying to find out who the owner is. So, if they have an issue with that person being there, they have to call the sheriff's department so they can come out and address it. Same thing with the other piece of property where the farmer's insurance used to be. The owner has to be the one calling. The city really can't do anything other than just continue to monitor. When he's a public place, then the city can take action if he's in a public place. And of course, if they're violating any laws or committing any crimes, then obviously then action can be taken. But so far, they haven't. It's just, people are concerned, and I understand their concern. And we'll just continue to monitor them. And I know Sal's has actually met with one of them
I've
before.
met with both of them.
With both of them.
Yes,
So they know that the city is kind of keeping an eye on them, and we're going to continue to do that. And the sheriff's department's already aware of them. The sheriff's department has met with them a couple of times already. So we're just, I just want the community to understand that as long as they're on private property, there's really not a whole lot that the city or the county can do unless they commit a crime. So that's kind of where we are with that.
And real quick, Mayor, I think I shared with you, and I can't remember if I said it to Epi, but it's pretty cut and dry. The state passed a law that you can't camp or stay overnight on public property unless you're authorized by the owners of the property. So when I did make contact with the gentleman, I did let him know. I said, you're more than welcome to stay here, but it looks like you're camping out, so you should just tidy up, and you can't stay overnight. And I think that night he complied, but I've been told that he might have done that again. So if you do see someone sleeping at City Park, you have more than every right to contact the sheriff's office and let them know, because it is against the law. That was passed, I think, 2023, I think, earlier. But I'll shoot.
They've been using our outside toilet that was brought to us, and we had to put a lock on it. Well, the EMS
Put a lock on it. Okay.
You think of aiming sidewalk. Not far from the highway. All day long, he lays like this. And his stand is almost on the road.
So again,
Start landing airplanes.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know if they have some kind of mental health issues or whatever. But again, as long as they're not committing a crime, and if they're on private property, there's really not anything the city and the county can do at this point. But we are, like I said, we are keeping an eye on them. So the county is, and so is Sal, and both of them, I met with both of them myself, and they said they were just passing through. Actually, one of them said that the Corpus Police Department dropped them off here. So
well, we've always had that problem before, but our PD, even when Sinton was here, we contracted Sinton, contracted the county, and we would tell them to leave. We were also other cities would drop them off, and we're like, hey, we finally caught them and said, who dropped you off? Well, so and so dropped us off over here. Hey, we don't want you here either. So I mean, we've never had that problem, but our PD, from what I understand, can go to a commercial place if it's abandoned and tell them to leave. Now, if they show proof that the owner says they can stay, then it's a different story.
Well, my understanding,
but again, the county's not going to intervene because it's not but if we had our PD, then they can.
My understanding is that as long as there's no sign that says no trespassing, then right.
It takes the owner. The owner has to put it up.
Yeah,
right.
and if we do take action, and even if we had a DPD and they went over there and said, hey, you need to go, and they chose not to go and we detained them, then we would be liable and we could be sued. I mean, and the last thing we would want is a lawsuit from a homeless person because we tried to strong arm them to move out of a piece of, private property. So,
I mean, that's when I make contact, I was very conscientious of the language I use, because you have to be, I mean, these are people who have rights, and they have a right to be on public property. And there's situations where if you're not trained enough, you can actually violate their rights, their civil rights. So that's what we have to be careful about. But I think we've done the best we could so far. But as far as like Constable said, the owner basically we have to contact the owner and get them to at least put up a no trespassing sign. So at that point, they're noticed, And if they continue to stay, it's a violation.
Right.
So.
All right, I don't have anything else on Facebook.
Yeah, just, the last one, we, did, so we have neighbor, and I wasn't there, but, the traffic got a little dirty, said it was success, you want to say?
And EDC did sponsor a helicopter. We did get 27 Easter baskets. We did purchase 4,000 eggs. We did make sure that the grass was mowed before the event. It was really nice. It was a nice event, though it was windy, but it was nice.
Thanks to Anna, that was Anna's idea. She's our secretary.
Yes.
It was her idea to bring the helicopter during the EDC meeting. That's when we went with it. Yeah.
Or the Events Association volunteers were out there as well, and I think
I didn't jump out of the helicopter. It wasn't me.
the first drop was a little bit off because the pilot really didn't calculate the wind. So he kind of went towards the center of the field and dropped the eggs, and they blew to the left. So all the kids that were on the right were like, "Yay!" So ooh, they had to try to get across the field. Now the second drop, he actually flew over and dropped one egg and watched where it went.
Okay.
And he kind of adjusted. So he had the first drop. He moved over to the left a little more, and the wind spread them apart. Actually, it spread them over
It was
really
nice,
good.
the second drop.
And then, of course, we're trying to hold back the kids because he had another drop. And of course, by that time, they were all past us. So he moved forward further out and dropped the next 1,000.
It was
And,
2,000 each drop.
So the kids
It was good.
really, really enjoyed it. I think if there wouldn't have been any wind, it would have been really good. But, you know, he's a pilot here. He knows what it's like to have to deal. I could tell the helicopter was kind of struggling up there. We had the Easter Bunny there. He drove in on a motorcycle, and the kids were all excited. And just want to say the Easter Bunny lost a couple of pounds in that outfit when it was all over and done with. But it was a fun event. The first hunt was for the kids that were smaller, the younger kids, along with kids that, you know, may have been had some kind of disabilities, or because I know we had some kids that are autistic, and the helicopter was just too much for them. So they were able to get out there and, you know, not have to deal with the helicopter. And then, of course, when we had the kids there with the helicopter, some of them were so busy watching the helicopter, they forgot to run out and get eggs. The parents were like, go, go, go. So, but I think it was very successful. And, you know, hopefully we can use that park a lot more, because it's just a great place to have events.
That's all I say. Hot dogs, and we had a raffle.
Hot dogs, raffle, golden eggs.
Just something an EDC could look at.
Popcorn.
Yeah.
Sheriff's Car brought popcorn.
So
And Hacienda brought hot dogs. And Anna's church brought a raffle. And Lily brought some eggs to put out there for us.
It's my report.
Good.
So it was overall, overall, it was a great, it was a great event.
I wasn't there, she was. Okay, thanks, Mayor. That's all I want,
Okay.
just a little heads up. And next EDC meeting, I will stay one and see if you guys want something to put on the EDC. By next month, probably. So that's all I have. Thanks.
City Administrator, you had a couple things? Billy, you had something?
Well, is this where the councilman also, because I don't see it, is this where we give our report as well if we want? Or
Yeah,
I
but
don't
we
see-
were, I think that they had sent out a email. We're trying to put things on the agenda so we can have kind of an idea of what's going to be talked about, so we can be a little bit more open and transparent instead of just bringing things up at random. But if you have something to bring up, I mean, I think we'll just go ahead and let him finish his, and
That's
then
fine.
we'll.
Yeah, mine's brief.
Yeah, I sent an email out asking if anyone had any specific to report. And the reason we need to do that is because per Open Meetings Act, we can't just leave that open-ended. We have to be specific about the items that we're going to be discussing, even if it's a generic, like EDC, event report or something like that. We need to be more specific. So, okay. So to piggyback off of EDC, if you noticed in that summer report, there is no budget for EDC. That that's something we can't do anything now, but in the future we should look into discussing a specific budget for EDC to work off of. I know there's always a struggle between separating the two, but it is essentially all taxpayer funds, and they're designated for certain types of purchases and events and stuff like that. So we need, and it'll be easier to track on the back end,
How couldn't you do it now?
because it wasn't budgeted.
But you're halfway, right?
Well, the approved budget, it's not in there, so you can't just add it.
Yeah, we'd have to go and amend the budget.
You have to go and amend the budget and all that kind of stuff. I mean, we're about halfway through, so I mean, it's going to be like just a big learning curve to just get more specific with how we need to.
I'm gonna get with him. We can have a private budget workshop pretty quick. We just try to get him on board. He's doing a lot for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, so let's see. So I've met with staff, of course, over the past 5 weeks, and I've set some basic expectations for staff regarding their schedules, timekeeping, reporting, etc. As far as admin, they're doing more. If they're having to stay later, it's going to be comp time. And for anyone who doesn't know what that is, it is computed at time and a half, but it goes into a bank where they're not paid out directly. It's just going to go into a bank for future time off. We can't force anyone to do admin leave. It has to be voluntary. I did offer admin leave to our maintenance workers. They didn't want to do that. They want to get paid the overtime. So we're going to continue to monitor that. So there's lots of room for development to educate our employees and enhance their skills. And what I mean by that is that what I'm finding the core of a lot of the issues we have is that, and this goes even for the public, that there's lack of understanding of how this government works. Who's in charge and who's makes what decisions and how much that is, and the parameters of authority. I'm almost going through this sort of rehabilitation with staff, and hopefully we can put together. I'd like to put together something really quick and easy, a 30-second video, maybe in a minute, a video to put out there to the public so they understand how their government works and who has the authority and who has the power, because that's how that's how general law is designed. So that I'm looking forward to that. As I continue to spend more time with each employee and learn what they do on a day-to-day basis, which I am, I'll get a stronger grasp of their responsibilities and functions. I'll be able to assist them in being more efficient and making better use of their time, and for cross-training. That's one of the things I also find is that you basically have institutional knowledge with one particular person, and then they're gone, and then that knowledge goes with them. So we need SOPs, we need manuals, we need all sorts of internal documents to educate the future staff members. And I've always planned for this. I always tell people, if I disappear tomorrow, you should be able to function without me. And that's the idea for at least my role, is that everything that I do, once it's put into place, what that exactly is completely, at the end of the day. And then we kind of go down the line with every single staff member that we have. What they do should be easily picked up by somebody else with little struggle. So basically with that, I'll be able to, once I kind of get a better grasp of the day-to-day for each person, what they're responsible for, what they're capable of, and and that goes for what they're capable of being training for, I'll be able to develop a plan for potential restructuring. That's for staffing issues. So also, all the documentation was submitted to our CPA for the 2020-21 audit. That's basically completed at this point as far as Mr. Hernandez's part. My understanding, just for the record, that those documents were requested back in January. So I think my first or maybe week and a half, I got the fire going. We got the documents, and that's pretty much done. The next step, I did talk to Mr. Hernandez today, and he let me know that they were doing some minor adjustments to our fixed assets, to what we submitted, but we should have a final draft of the 2020-21 for auditing to send to the Ferris firm.
So Mr. Hernandez is still with?
Raul Hernandez, yes.
Picking up that? Didn't you say one time he was gonna leave?
Well, he was finishing up 2021, and then after that, but we're trying to convince him.
I did ask him, Mayor, if he was interested in continuing our relationship. He said he was. I did give him some ideas of how we're going to be moving forward, how we're going to be digitizing our information and records, and how it's going to be a lot easier to track. And that I'm here to steer staff correctly so that they actually turn in what they need to turn in a timely fashion. So yeah, he said he would be interested in continuing with us. Let's see, up until about 7 days ago, I've been able to get a broad assessment of city finances and technology. For finances so far, it looks like we'll need to revamp our coding system. I mentioned this before in the city financial software to better track expenditures and revenue. I plan on doing a deeper dive. It'd be nice with Mr. Bain, if that's possible, to learn more about the system. Also, we have a resource with Homer over at the county. He's a in-code expert, I'm told, and I've been trying to get him. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks I'll be able to get with him. There are actually parts of encode that exist that can help us that are just not being utilized. I don't know. I don't have an answer why. It might just be cost. It might just not have been something never thought of. But there are elements of encode that can be used, like the PO system. There, you implemented a paper, one, which is all we got. But there's actually something in encode that we can do digitally, and there can be a workflow for that. It's easier to track. For anyone who knows, I'm anti-paper, so I like just typing in a keyword, it pops up the document you're looking for, and it's ready to roll. Let's see. Of course, I mentioned before, it's probably too late to make any changes now within the system, so we'll have to correct as much as possible and plan to get a new start beginning this summer when we start talking about budget again. So I've met with our IT people, and we're looking at potential upgrades in technology and equipment. So there's going to be some initial investments in our technology, but it's going to pay for itself in cost savings, all around efficiency, streamlining, use of staff's time, better tracking and documentation of expenses, and safer record keeping. So what I found out was that we have 4 internet bills one internet bill for each building. So meeting with IT, there is an initial cost to put up these antennas on each building, and they can basically talk to each other. So we can actually develop an intranet, something basically an internal shared drive, and we're gonna have one internet bill. So that'll save us some money there. With Toshiba, who we already have a contract with for our copiers. So I got with them because I was looking for desktop scanners. There should be a desktop scanner on every admin's desk so that any document they get, it scans in, it's recorded, it's automatic. Surprisingly, what I was told was that since 2019, the city's been paid about $12,000 for a part of the software that was never used. This software was designed to digitize the records and files. So since 2019, we basically threw away $12,000. Said $750, excuse me. So I've got with Toshiba. They sent me a new desktop scanner today. I'm supposed to just kind of live with it for a little bit, and if I like it, then we can talk about getting that additionally added to each desktop. There will be sure.
So we're paying $750 a month.
It was $800 a month.
$800 a month.
Right, but only 25% of that was for this additional software. So that's what I calculated was about 20. So you took about 25%. So $12,000 of what we've been paying for over these years was never utilized. And we've had, like I said, I think I talked to some of y'all about bringing in a software that we could digitize and file our records in a cloud. This already existed for us. It just was never utilized.
I was going to share that with you.
Yeah.
That if they were doing that,
no,
because they were supposed to do that, and it was with Toshiba,
right?
And there was several people that went to training for that.
Yeah, and what I heard from Toshiba, if I'm going to be honest with you, is that they tried and tried, but it could just never get through. They would get pushback and pushback, and they finally just gave up and said, well, we tried. It's there for you to use. What's interesting about this software, if I can it has AI capabilities. So when you scan in an invoice or a service agreement, it actually reads the service agreement for you, and then it can actually talk to encode, And what that does, it's automatically put that data into encode, so you don't have to type all that stuff in. So then now it's going to look for keywords. So all you have to do is find one keyword that has to do with that particular document. It's going to bring it up like that, and it's associated with encode. So I was kind of, like I said, shocked and disappointed that this was already existed, but I'm excited that it's something available to us and probably has been more advanced. So I'm working with Toshiba on moving forward with that. Once we
Also, it was supposed to do POs. I know we mentioned
Yes.
POs.
Mhm.
It was also designed to do that.
Yes, yeah, it's
very interactive, and like I said, the first step I installed the first scanner on my desk, so I'm able to learn the ins and outs. I'm able to train staff on how that works. And like I said, and actually, it would actually be cheaper in the long run. I think, I mean, you just put every number. So originally we were paying about $800 a month for the contract we have now. They said they could probably bring it down to about $400 to $600 a month with the scanners being leased. And the software. But again, these are just preliminary numbers I was doing. I'll get once I get the ball rolling, I'll be able to, inform you better. So let's see. Of course, we gotta keep assessing the city's finances and spending practices. There are some areas, of course, I mentioned that we're tighter developed. For example, it was there was also
that 12,000 from the software not being used. Obviously, we're going to put that, to better use. When I came in, I saw that there was cell phones all over the place, and I asked for an inventory of that. It looked like we had been paying for cell phones that weren't being used since October. So that was basically, since we get our cell phones cheap and we got a pretty good deal with our cell phone bill, it came out to be about $2,000. That was just basically, since October. So there was documentation that someone didn't send an email back in October, but never followed up. So I asked them to just go back and push, and we're going to get that refunded back. Just this week, we got a phone call from a vendor who basically said that we had police department equipment that was never paid for, and they want it back. So we're going to be inventorying that stuff and get it back to them. That would have put us on the hook for quite a few $1,000s. So, I mean, we'll be returning that, obviously, so we don't have to be on the hook for that. We were also, I noticed in my, broad audit, was that we were still paying car wash subscription fees for all the PD cars, and that was since at least October. So unfortunately, we won't be able to get a refund on that because it was always on the books, but we did put a stop to it.
And that was on a credit card.
That was on a card, and so that's another thing we're going to need to dial down on the card usage and how we do that. I dare to say that I'm venturing down a path that I mean, I hate to say it, but we need to bring in an external auditor to come in and audit. Like I said, I'm getting deep enough where I'm seeing too much that we're going to need someone who doesn't have any sort of, buy-in to the city. They can, say, these are wrong. These are things you're doing wrong. This is how you correct them, So, like I said, once I kind of get a better picture of what I'm dealing with, and I got a pretty good picture, I'll come back to council and see if we can arrange that. But I think we're getting down to a point where we need even our business practices audited. So that's pretty much, I think so. It's quite a bit for 5 weeks, but I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Mine was just that we have a city ordinance that the staff used to handle. And it's very simple. There's signs everywhere. There's RVs for sale over there at Snappy's. There's we move homes. There's businesses that are no longer in business and they still have their signs there. So, and I remember Jesse Falcon. Yes, I remember Jesse also implemented the garage sale. That's why you put up your garage sale signs and then you got to remove them at the end of your garage sale. So, yeah, I'm seeing a lot more signs everywhere, on every corner, on the telephone poles. I mean, that's, we do have an ordinance that, maybe.
Friday had a bunch.
Yeah, our guys used to go and collect them, but you place a phone call and just say, hey, we don't allow this in our city. And they'll stop doing it. But if you let them, then they'll continue doing it.
Yes, Councilman Falcone,
Good.
let me know about that a couple weeks
Yes.
ago. And again, with the guys, taking care of a lot of other stuff, I actually went out there and pulled a few myself.
Yeah, yeah.
So I found a
And
trash can
you'll
full.
see some businesses that are still have their signs up and they're no longer in business and they haven't been in
Yeah,
business.
and I'll again reiterate with the crew that if they see those things, to collect them, and then I'll collect them at City Hall and give them a
Yeah.
courtesy call.
I mean, the only one that if you own the business and you're advertising like Stripes, they can advertise all they want because they're, so,
So
I mean,
even
you
that,
see all the stuff,
even
but
that
if you see
A-frame,
other things that are not,
even the A-frame sign at the old Snappy Foods, because it's on private property, we can't do anything about that, right?
no, you can do.
We
There's
can.
a city ordinance that we don't allow. If that place is not in business, then you can't allow
Oh, okay,
signs.
so we can take care of that then.
Uh,
Perfect.
I could try to look for that ordinance for you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move with adjourn. Do I have a motion? Motion by Councilman Candela, second by Councilman Falcon. All in favor?
Aye.
We adjourn.
Just how much somebody went to the bathroom, everybody did it.
Yeah, I know, man. You got up and everybody got up.
I got out of the new water field, man.
Oh, no.